fucking dinosaurs.
And
You think I can't outrun a chubby kid, much less a T-Rex.
yeah, I had a bright yellow Nissan Skyline with all-wheel drive, underglow, and tuned-up motors.
Hello and welcome to the Strange Podcast. This is Strange Conversations, where every week we talk about a whole plethora of things, from topics to news to everything else. To my left,
Mark.
Plover, and to my right,
John Pettit.
And
who is handsome.
He's Brent Metcalf.
And today I'm Brent Metcalf. So every week there's a whole lot of...
Don't say his name. He's not here.
Okay, don't say his name in vain. So every week there's a ton of stuff that happens out in the world, but to us, this is the important shit. Okay.
Shit.
One day, I dream of a world where it will end. But the first bit of news that we want to talk about is there's actually a super cool trailer. It's going to be linked down in the description below. And as a curveball to John, it's actually the Venom trailer.
Yes, it is. It is very exciting. It's everything I ever wanted.
Yep.
From it's totally creepy. It still has yet a little comical feel, but it's got that really dark undertone that I really wanted.
And the driest of humor.
It's perfect.
It hurt so bad to just hear him be like a turd in the wind. You are the most menacing creature, and your analogy is a turd in the wind.
Yeah, I don't know why they use that
fantastic.
Bond villain so much, and why they love the way he talked. And he's like, I'm gonna talk like this. It's like, God, come on, this is not No Country for Old Men.
It's like the
It's fantastic.
It's like the way that people make fun of Obama for his speaking, because he speaks in rhythm. He was like, and I am gonna do this right here because of this thing.
That's more William Shatner right there.
Yeah.
You know, it's
very
funny. I
odd.
never even thought about it that way, but yeah, he does remind me of William Shatner.
Yeah.
No. Dylan specifically reminded me of William
No,
Shatner.
I know, but just thinking about the speech.
Yeah. It was definitely very odd. I mean, I really liked the trailer. It was a really
Yeah.
long trailer. It was like 3.5 minutes.
Yeah.
What's that gonna be, like a third of the movie?
But I mean, you notice how it just came over his mouth the way they did that. It's just a lot of thought has been brought about to how they're doing this, and how you could tell it's split mind, even though he comes out and they're both talking at the same time.
Yeah.
It's really,
Well,
really
it's-
good.
They're doing a good job of playing the whole symbiote thing, though. I mean, where it's like two brains as one. It's pretty dope.
Yeah, but it's cool.
And the weird thing with the Asian lady, where he's like, "Oh, hey, Mrs. Whatever. Yeah, I got a parasite."
Parasite.
I died laughing at the end of that. I was like, yes, this is what I want.
I do wish that it was Carnage, but at least it's not
I
going to be
bet you'll
something
see
I
Carnage
care
at the
about.
end of this.
So therefore,
There's
I'm good.
there's a lot of people talking about another symbiote coming into play. I think you'll see Carnage.
I mean, well, you see the one in the other trailer. That's I think it's Riot. Is his name?
Yeah.
Is the other one?
Carnage is my favorite. He's just so ruthless.
Yeah, he's a complete ruthless a-hole.
Psychopath.
The next bit of news that we want to talk about is the Nintendo Switch nears 20 million units.
20 million units in one and a half years.
Yeah.
It released in March of 2017, and it is killing it. Looking at the software, top 3 games alone have sold 30 million units. Each one of those games, it was Zelda Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart 8, and Mario Odyssey. All of them sold 10 million or more. That means every single one of those games being sold at $50 a piece had made them over $560 million a piece.
That's a lot of quick math.
That is
Wow.
That is $1.5 billion in 3 games. The top 3 games for PlayStation didn't even reach. I mean, the top 3 of all time since 2014.
These are exclusives.
Huh?
These are exclusives that you're referring to.
Yes.
Yeah.
These are. Oh, I'm sorry. No, Monster Hunter is not, right?
It's a timed exclusive.
Yeah, but I mean, it won't be for right now.
Yeah.
But they only reached between Monster Hunter, Uncharted, and Horizon Zero Dawn. It was only around average 8.3 million apiece. And they've been out since 2014. This has been out for a year and a half. Has already blown them out of the water.
Well, let's be real here. You only got like 10 games to choose from, so it's no surprise that 3 of them are on there.
No, there's plenty of ports to choose from.
Yeah, that you've already played.
But they're still selling, right?
I do think it's very interesting, and I also think that those numbers are quite impressive, because the reason I brought up the exclusive point is because I think Call of Duty sells in the neighborhood of like 10 to 30 million a year.
Yeah.
Which is a ton. It's Call of Duty, so that's it's hard to compete with.
Yeah.
But like you said, you're not gonna play Call of Duty on your Switch, are you?
No.
You're gonna play Mario.
People played it on Wii though.
They're
Why wouldn't they play it on?
They're anarchists.
Why wouldn't they play it on the
They're
Switch?
anarchists.
Well, I feel like there's
I
a lot of
agree.
concentration anyway to purchase those games. If you get a Switch,
Yep.
I mean, those are kind of like the no-brainer games that you get.
about Mario.
Yeah, like the whole point you get whole point of getting a Nintendo anyways for a lot of the platformers. So, I mean, it makes sense to me that they're
You mean
doing a
why
lot,
you
but
would want a
it's
D-pad?
You wouldn't. That's the answer. The good thing is that this news topic bleeds perfectly into our next one because while the Switch is selling dramatically well, it's not even the best-selling console.
Not of June in 2018.
Yep.
Believe it or not, that nice little
$60 holla.
$60 30 game package you get for the NES Classic
Yep.
outsold PS4, Xbox One, and the
$60,
Nintendo
man.
Switch
$60.
In units.
in units.
In units.
Yeah,
volume.
not in
Oh my
actual
God,
profit.
if it beat it in
I was gonna
profit,
say-
it would have to sell it 5 times more.
Yeah, literally.
Oh my God.
That would be
That'd
pretty
so
crazy.
impressive.
I'd be more impressed.
Yeah.
But I mean, still, you think about it. I mean, PlayStation is right around 80 million units right now being shipped.
About a year away from the end.
Nintendo coming up, man. It's creeping up there, and it's been out 5.5 years now for the PlayStation.
Yeah, but I mean, I think we saw a quick. The PlayStation is still, if I'm not mistaken, holds all the records for fastest selling console. The Switch isn't beating it.
Nope.
But the issue is that
It's getting close though. That's the thing.
it's not far off. But the thing is, like, whenever you switch from PS3 or 360,
Switch.
yeah, when you switched over from PS3 and 360 to most likely PS4, because not a lot of people bought one. When you made that switch, it was very explosive in the first year. But like, how many people? I don't disagree that you're out there, but how many people were sitting at home with their Wii U, like, just waiting for
Oh
this?
yeah, absolutely. That explosion was completely set up by
Right.
themselves.
So then, at the 18-month mark, now that you've got Mario Kart, Smash, and everything, like, I think it's going to slow down dramatically. I don't think it's going to keep up the pace of the Wii. I don't even think it's going to keep up the pace of the PlayStation.
I think you'll be surprised. I think once you see a lot of the new,
Plus PS5 next year, it's
dude,
gonna
we
kill
got
the hype.
Pokemon coming out. All right.
Nobody cares.
No,
You
you
hold a
think you're about to
Pokeball?
find out who cares?
Pokeball.
The Pokeball, I'm buying, by the way. and you
What's
should
crazy to
too.
me is, just like you said earlier, though, the 3 biggest games, what were they?
Why?
The 3 biggest games for
Switch. What were they?
Switch were all Breath of the Wild, Mario Kart 8, and Odyssey.
How far ahead was Mario's from Breath of the Wild?
2 million.
Yeah.
Not too far though. It's a little
So I
less than
think
2
that
million.
Smash is going to definitely carry the Mario banter,
Oh yeah,
but I think that Pokemon is gonna. I don't think Pokemon will be Zelda.
I think it will.
I don't think it will.
I think it will.
We'll see.
Oh, here we go.
It's a bet.
We'll see. Yep.
All right,
We'll see.
you heard it right now.
What is the time
Pokemon
frame?
is gonna beat Mario.
First year.
Not
First year
beat
of each.
Mario. We said beat Zelda.
Zelda. First year of each.
Yeah,
Cool.
that sounds fair. We gotta keep some kind of structure here.
Yeah, some sort of time frame.
This is great.
The next
I
bit
love
of
this.
news that we wanted to roll into now that we're done gambling with today is today actually there's a very interesting bit of news that's been coming out since last Friday, and that is that Alex Jones and the InfoWar channels seemingly are being removed from Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Apple podcasting services, and Android podcasting services,
What
maybe
about
Spotify.
Stitcher?
Spotify.
and Spotify.
Well, actually, no. I take that back. Only certain episodes anyway were removed from Spotify. He's got like 6 different channels, like Infowars Nightly, and then a bunch of the other ones anyway.
kinds
under
of fun
elections.
stuff.
Yeah, he does he has a lot of channels, but yeah, a lot of stuff was getting pulled anyway. Apple and Facebook both removed 5 out of 6 of his channels because of hate speech. They said Facebook put out an exact quote saying that many of the content, or much of the content anyway, that was on 5 of those 6 channels anyway, was in violation of hate speech anyway. Like, they had a lot of stuff that was reported to them, and in the process of them reviewing it, they had more stuff that was reported in the meantime. So they were like, "We're just going to ban all 5 of them."
I love that it took them this long. I want to know what straw broke the camel's back.
I don't know.
It's definitely very interesting.
It's
because, like,
not like his name isn't known, and Infowars isn't known
for
for
hatred.
People
For-
see him,
yeah,
and they
exactly.
get nauseous. They're like, "You tricked me. Why is he here?"
Yeah, it's really weird because like me and my roommates were talking about it on the way home today, and it's just very odd because like one of them like had no real insight into the information, or whatever. I was like, "Hey, when you think of Alex Jones, and I told you that like his YouTube channel got banned, what would you guess for?" And he's like, "I don't know, hate speech or something." I was like, "Yeah, it's a good call. It's a good call."
yeah.
The
No,
thing is, he's been doing this for years, though.
Yeah, that's what's very odd to
Man.
me.
I don't know why they just suddenly started to review it or whatever. I think it was honestly I would want to say that it's Spotify that started the train because like
Well,
they
YouTube I think did it on Friday.
Spotify supposedly did it like last. Well, maybe they
I
did
think
it
they
last
both
week
did it
with
last week, yeah.
YouTube, yeah, or something like that. But like last week or whatever, this when a couple of his episodes got taken down. Spotify hasn't taken down his whole channel, and I don't know about YouTube.
Now, are you
or
think
all
they're
that.
doing this to try to make I guess, an example saying that no one is untouchable? You
Well,
think that's what
I
it's
think
about?
part of it is more of, I guess YouTube and a lot of other places have probably been somewhat fearful of, I don't want to say silencing people's voices, but like YouTube is always meant to be a platform that is open for everyone. You can say whatever you want to say on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can do whatever.
As long as you don't talk about Nintendo.
Is well, they just take the money from you.
Yeah.
So you can still do it, you just don't make money. And I think YouTube kind of was walking a fine line of saying like, hey, we don't really want to fine people, or we don't really want to silence people. If they got something to say, let them say it. But I definitely think since like the whole PewDiePie incident, it's just kind of been spiraling. We especially saw in the LGBT community. We even saw Twitch in the past, like I think month or so. If you say the European word for bundle of sticks on your Twitch stream, you're banned. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you say you're banned, they ban you for I think 30 days for the first time.
Wow.
Which I understand. I mean, you don't want
That's
people.
pretty rough.
You don't
that'll
want, like-
kill somebody.
I mean, it's definitely hard because like I understand because I have a very crude sense of humor at times. Like, there's a part of me that's like, hey, some dude makes some like sick and twisted jokes. I might laugh at him, but I understand that 90% of people might not laugh at him. So it's interesting that you are in a way getting rid of that because there's a YouTube channel I used to really like called The Offensive Gamer, and he was just a super offensive dude. He played like Battlefield and stuff like that. I mean, I thought it was funny. But, like, I also understand, like, you don't ever want a 7-year-old to probably watch that.
Well, this goes back to the topic we had a couple weeks ago anyway, where we were talking about Siege banning people for, straight banning people anyway, if the automated system detected them with
people would
hate
go
speech or
into
any
it,
just, like
though.
certain keywords, though.
Yep, and so I just think we're getting into a time where it's YouTube's more of like, hey, we know you got freedom of speech, you can do what you want, but we're not going to help you make money, and we're not
Yeah.
going to share your
But
hatred.
is that freedom of speech?
I mean, it's a private company, so, I mean, they can really do what they want.
It's
totally
their
okay.
platform.
I'm totally
yeah.
okay
Yeah.
with it. Yeah, it's their platform. It's their voice. I understand. Like, you don't want to spread hate. I'm
Yeah.
totally understanding of that.
My
But
roommate-
at the same time, like, I'm with you. I have a dark sense of humor, and
Yeah.
I'm okay. I can take a joke. Like, throw it
Yeah,
at me.
yeah.
It's fine.
My
I'm
roommate
not gonna
Caleb
cry.
had a very good perspective on it as well. He was like, "Yeah, I mean, I don't really have an issue with this, but I mean, if they took down like his website or something that he was housing the videos on himself, like, okay, now that's a problem
Yeah.
because now
Yeah,
you're
okay.
definitely silencing the dude. But like,
Yeah, that
like you
makes
said,
sense.
like, if I want to go check out his stuff and I maybe really like him or whatever, like, you can still go to his website, and I'm confident he has a Flash player and you can watch the videos there.
Yeah.
So it's not like we're cleansing the world of Alex Jones or anything like that. But just YouTube's like, we don't want to be a part of it. You can be you, just not here.
Yeah.
Well, I just wish that, like we talked about beforehand, I wish they just had, like, a red band version of YouTube. You don't come
It's called
here.
Live Leak.
Huh?
It already says it's called Live Leak. It's the place for that.
Yeah.
It's the place
This,
for stuff.
you'll
Well,
you'll
I was
also
actually
see a lot of
joking.
other stuff you really
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
want to see on Live League.
What I was joking is how hilarious would it be if Alex Jones spins up Infowars on Live Leak. I think it'd be
And
the
then it gets
funniest
super
thing.
popular.
Oh, I have no doubt.
Probably be
Yeah.
the most popular channel.
One of our buddies from our old job, from my old job, I had he posts videos on Live Leak and he super loves it. And he posted a video of this mail lady throwing his package. It's a super she refused to walk onto his porch, so she would just throw boxes onto the thing. So then he posted this, borderline hate speech video of this lady onto Live Leak, and it got real popular. So I think Alex Jones could have a home there.
Yeah. I'm not saying that. I mean, he will find a place. I mean, if there's
It'll
money
just
to
be
be
his-
made,
yeah,
he'll
it'll
find
just-
it.
It'll just be his own channel, or I'm sorry, his own website or whatever.
Push his bone broth thing or whatever the hell he does now.
The next bit of news that we had on a much lighter note is that 5G is seemingly coming, finally, for the 5th year in a row we're hearing about it. Maybe we're actually getting it.
Yep.
AT&T's actually working on those towers, I heard.
AT&T's pushing it by the end of the year. The Motorola Z3 is supposed to get released, or actually a mod for the Motorola Z3 is supposed to get released by the end of this year. Manufacturers are not supposed to have new phones that come out with 5G till next year, which is why T-Mobile and Sprint, which there's supposedly a merger there that's supposed
Yeah,
to be
they're
happening.
trying to get
Yeah.
Or trying to acquire the other one.
Yeah. And Verizon has already made plans anyway and starting to spend money on next year. Actually, it's kind of become almost a race to it, but the problem is I think AT&T's going to come out with it and be like, yeah, here it is. The Moto Z3 doesn't come out for another 3 months, though.
Yeah, it definitely feels it feels exactly like I don't know how into technology you were at the time, John, but I know me and Mark probably were. The HTC Evo was the first 4G phone. It was a huge deal in 2010, either the fall of 2010 or spring of 2011. It was a super huge deal, but
Yep.
one, the phone overheated. It was a terrible phone.
Yep.
And two, yeah, you could get 4G on it, but where?
Yeah.
So
It
cool.
wasn't quite out yet. It wasn't until I think the Bionic 4G or whatever,
Yeah, it
Bionic
was a
Max or
good
whatever came
while.
out.
Because I remember the whole 2011 and 2012 campaigns quickly became the whole these have 4G on their phones. I think we'll see it again. I think that even though I think AT&T is probably going to be first, I know everyone talked about Verizon has supposedly had it for a while. They've just been sitting on it.
Yeah.
So I feel like Verizon just going, we got you again.
Yeah. Well, as devices roll out for it, they're probably just going to be like, here's a SIM card and you got 5G. Here you go. But I think the big thing, though, that Verizon's waiting on, because they've been talking about this pretty hard, too, is replacing your home internet with a wireless solution to replace it,
And
essentially.
as dumb as that sounds, I want that so badly, so my employer will do it. So I can go to work and have cell phone service. Because where my new job is, I just sit in a spot where I don't have good cell phone service.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know I can go to another part of the building and have great service. And it's like, if you have Wi-Fi here, and I don't want to use your Wi-Fi to go on YouTube, but if I could use my data.
Well, I mean, from what I understand, AT&T's been working pretty steadily on the towers, and hey, the difference between when 4G came out and I think when 5G comes out, because of how popular that the Apple systems have been, I think you'll see it catch on a lot quicker, and I think they're going to be a lot more ready for it. Whereas beforehand, they were like, yeah, it's coming, we're working on it, and now they have kind of a better handle on things. I bet you it probably won't be nearly as painful.
Yeah, I also
Well-
think as well that just people care about the internet now. Like, I mean, obviously people cared about the internet back then, but like, I super cared about technology. So like, I really liked phones, and I always want to have the newest phone, the coolest features, right? But like, when I was in college, like, you can ask Mark, like, my phone was basically something for me to take a picture in the middle of the night of longboarding, and to call Safe Ride to come pick me up, and that's it.
Yeah.
I didn't like use Facebook or any of that, Twitter, any of that stuff. So I just would like, I'd take photos. When we
You
were
never really
longboarding.
bothered with big advanced
Yeah.
phones or anything. So,
So it's
It
like
was a
cool.
gaming system for me.
Really?
Angry Birds, man.
That was what I didn't get. Like, I would be like, oh, cool, I can have this crazy phone I can do whatever with, and I'd play
Flappy
Angry Birds,
Bird.
and I'm like, what is this stupid game? This is dumb. Or that stupid lane racing bike game that we had
Yeah.
with Kelly. It's like, oh, that's real hard.
There was another one, too. It was like Blade something. Where it was a slash game, and you would actually go through the castle and find things. It was really cool.
I do think now, though, because we use the internet so much, and, like, for example, like, when you go to an area with bad service, you're like, oh, my God, this sucks. I can't load my Twitter. I can't load my YouTube video. Or I got to watch this YouTube video, and, oh, my God, it's in 360 or whatever. Whereas I
got
think...
ready to go to 240.
Oh yeah, you can. That's uncharted territories. I think that you'll notice it just because people will want it more because just the marketing is going to be so much better. It's like, oh, you're video buffering? Not anymore. And you're like, it's not really, but whatever.
No, you still go in those remote areas.
Exactly.
5G still don't exist there.
Exactly.
3G still don't exist there.
Right.
Like, come on
Yeah.
now.
The next bit of news that we had is probably one of the weirdest things that you're ever going to hear about, and Amazon did it, and it makes no sense to me. And that's Amazon Alexa has created a burglar function. And the burglar function, I don't know how much you guys actually looked into this news article, is completely, in my opinion, retarded. And that is because it is basically when people come in your house during away hours, and this is through a third party person has created this, I guess, app or whatever it's called, within the Alexa, it will play back audio recordings.
What?
So, like,
Of
if
fun recordings, though.
exactly one, I don't know what's going to be up, so that's interesting. But so if you have an Alexa, say in your living room, and an intruder comes in your living room during your set away hours, the Alexa will just start playing a conversation to try to thwart them. What? It's not going to work.
Why not?
They're just going to look at the Alexa and be like, that thing's talking. That's weird.
I guess it depends. If it's at 3 in the morning and there's no lights on, yeah, they're probably gonna be like,
I don't know.
"Freaking
If
having
There's a
conversation
blue
in the
light
dark."
across the room and it's spinning.
I mean, if it's just a little blue ring, yeah, it's not that bad. Actually, I would say if it was Google Home, that actually might be a little bit more noticeable because it's red, green, blue, and yellow or whatever.
Well,
Theirs
not
is
the
like
ones
the
with the
blue.
matte top on it.
But
you
that's the
won't
thing.
see it.
Whenever it's talking to you, it's like solid though.
I would assume when it comes on, it probably spools up or something.
I mean, you would think that they would be smart enough to not take, grab attention from the app, or the Alexa wouldn't grab attention to
Yeah.
do something like that. But at the same time, like, it doesn't make sense because if you have a dog or another
Oh,
animal
yeah, I have
it
no idea how that
senses, it's just gonna start
My thing-
freaking the
Wait,
dog
wait,
out.
how does it know? I guess it just has the microphone
I guess
listening.
I just had the microphone while I was listening.
It's gonna hear stuff.
My
It's gonna
thing-
be like, "Whoop."
Yeah, some loud Honda Civic's gonna go by and it's gonna go, please leave the home immediately.
No,
Like,
see, that's my thing. It should just do that. It should just be like, unlock me or I'm calling the police. And then you're like, hey, it's Brian. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to call the cops. But instead, it's just like it plays our conversation from last Thursday. It's what? Why is that the plan?
I
That's
don't
the
know.
worst
I mean,
plan.
if anything, like it would make more sense for them to have an automated like voice that says, "Please say the password, or the police will be notified within 30 seconds." You know, that kind of thing.
My thing is, why don't you just have an alarm? One. And two,
If they get past your alarm, your Alexa
if you're
saves
gonna
you.
do this, do it right. It's got to be the Home Alone skit. Get out of my house, you dirty sack of shit. Just like freaking
You filthy animal.
You filthy animal. There you go. That would be great.
No, I just want to hear like the little Home Alone kid go, "Hello."
What?
You don't remember the scene whenever the dude like pokes his head in the dog door or whatever? He's got
Gotcha.
the little BB gun. He's like, "Hello."
I thought you were talking about the guy, and
No.
I was like, he said hello.
Yeah, can I have Alexa actually like trigger a BB gun then to shoot somebody? Like maybe
It'd probably
so
be
that I
more
can have it
useful.
go, "Hello."
It'd probably
That'd be
more
great.
useful.
You could also lay tax on the floor, little like army men.
Yes.
Well, where does this go? The next bit of news that we had is another
Everywhere.
trailer that we've seen this week, which is pretty cool. It is a first-person viewpoint of the Uncharted. What is it? Uncharted Thief's End.
Mhm.
It's 4. Okay, I always forget the numeric. I don't know if it was even numbered, honestly. Which sad as I played it. I've played them all. That's the worst part.
It's not the worst part. That's the best part.
No, that I don't remember the numbers.
Oh.
And he's played them.
And I've played them probably at least twice each.
So is 2 your favorite or 3 your favorite?
No,
No.
4 is my favorite.
Okay.
I would Golden Abyss is probably 4 than Golden Abyss.
Yeah, I did like Golden Abyss.
Golden Abyss was cool.
I see, based on the way he remembers the numbers, he probably doesn't even remember the first 3.
Just start with the highest number. It's the safest.
Whatever the most recent was, good.
Exactly.
People keep talking about how they love number 2 so much, and I don't get why.
My issue is I played them in the collector's edition, and just the you definitely look at them through rose tinted glasses. Have the sense of like replaying them, you're just like, ooh, this does not look good. This looks like a game from '99. Whew, that is hot.
Yeah.
But they played it.
I've never played them, so.
Basically, just imagine every game from 2000, and that's how the old ones look and feel. So when people are like, "Oh yeah, it's the greatest," I'm like, "I played that last year, and it wasn't good. Maybe it was good in like '02, but whew, it did not age well." But they basically created a mod for it, which allowed you to be in the first-person viewpoint. It's pretty cool. You get to see like it's the scene where Drake is on the couch and he's like eating with his wife and whatnot, and you get to play Crash Bandicoot in first person. It's a pretty cool little clip. I really liked it. Both the trailers and all that stuff will be down in the description below as always. That's going to be it for the important shit, just because the last bit of news that we wanted to talk about actually bleeds into one of our topics really well. So we just kind of want to cover that at the same time. And that last bit of news is that Fortnite, oddly enough, the developers over at Epic, have elected to avoid the Android market because
Google
they
Play
think that Google is a monopoly and they don't want to pay Google their fee, which is odd because they do it with Apple. But it's their choice, whatever. So
I'm
to be
pretty
able to install the application on your Android phone, you basically have to cut off the security stuff, download a third-party app. And also I saw that I think it's only Oreo devices are getting it in the beginning. So only certain phones can actually download it. So if you have a
Certain
newer
phones
or
and
older,
tablets, yeah.
it's very odd, and that's kind of the news story that we had. But it kind of bleeds into the topic that Mark had, which is what?
Whether or not bigger companies such as Apple, Google included, whether or not they've really become too big and too greedy, I guess, along the way. The biggest thing that sparked this anyway is because Apple hit $1 trillion in their market cap. Based on the number of stocks and the valuation of their stocks. Anyway, they crossed I think they're at 1.05 billion or something like that right now.
Ridiculous.
Or 0.05 billion.
Ridiculous.
What? Yeah.
Ridiculous.
But the question is, I guess, and John, I guess I'll start with you. Do you think that some of these bigger companies, or maybe specific examples, because obviously not every company fits this mold anyway. Obviously, everybody would like to think that every company is exactly the same, or every big company is just as greedy as the last. But do you think that specific companies have gotten really greedy? There are others that are good. Where do you stand with that?
I think that we are in a very sensitive period in time in our economy
Why is the pen in your beard?
because it can be.
Okay.
I didn't even
It
notice
feel-
that until now.
You
Thank
guys
you.
never run a comb through a beard? Like it just.
You seem to be missing something here. You're missing that I'm missing something.
Oh, I was like, I got plenty of it.
Honestly, I'm the perfect fusion because you go from his beard just to the middle, but I got the naked sides to the naked boy.
Baby face. Anyway,
Babyface killer.
segues are fun. The
Yeah.
The segue is.
The only problem that I'm really having is that companies like Amazon pay very little, if anything, in taxes at all, and they're one of the richest companies in the world. How much money do you think Apple paid in taxes last year?
I did see this is. I think tax evasion is not cool. That's my first statement here. My second statement is there are loopholes, and fortunately, those people know how to use those loopholes. Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, I don't exactly know how it happened, so I am totally paraphrasing here. This could totally be wrong, but it's roughly correct. I don't know the exact specifics. He got a huge payout from being the CEO of Apple for like X amount of time. I think it was like 5 years or 8 years, something like that. At the end of that 8 years, he gets a huge chunk of stock, right? So he then gets that at the end of the time frame, and it's a ridiculous amount of money. We'll just, for the sake of numbers, say it's $1 billion, right? It was a really high amount of money. So instead of paying taxes on this, he just gives part of the stock to the government to not pay taxes for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And it's like, cool. I mean, don't get me wrong. He gave them probably the equivalent amount of money in a odd way.
And allowed the government actually to take in his stock value or his tax value, if not more, if they hold on to it correctly.
So, I mean, not that that's a negative play or anything, but
Google literally stores most of their money in Ireland, where they only have to pay 13% corporate tax.
what I have a whole lot of issues with taxes in America, but
Well,
I'm
but that's,
cool
Well,
with
that's
that.
what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
you can tell that, when it comes to greed, how do you talk about it? How do you look at it?
well,
It's-
but the
do you look at it
taxes.
based on the individual? Do you look at it based on the country,
Yeah.
or on their practices?
Yeah, to me, the greed question is a little bit more, I guess, not necessarily on practices, but also on products. Like, for Apple, like, the funniest thing that I'm confident both of you guys have seen in the last week is people saying, like, oh, Apple's worth $1 trillion, we know why. And it's got a bunch of pictures of lightning cables that
There's
are
a
destroyed
the
and
freight
frayed.
charges, yeah.
And that's kind of my issue with them is, like, for example, I mean, this right here is a MacBook. This right here is, like, over $3,000 for this laptop. The Windows equivalent of this would maybe be, like, I don't know, $1,500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, granted, this does have a unique OS and it is more powerful, but should it cost $3,000? Probably not.
But it's so soft, and the
yeah.
color's so nice.
Totally. And it's the same thing with like iPhones. It's the same thing with all the products. So on that end, I get you're buying a premium. So I mean, I get that you're buying a name brand, but how much of it is you're buying high quality versus you're buying this logo that sits back here? And that's kind of my issue. Like if all the Apple products, like the cables, were super high quality and everything was like the best of the best, cool. You pay a premium, you get the best, whatever. But especially with Apple, I don't always feel that I get the best, which sucks. However, companies like Samsung and HTC and Google right now are also disappointing me. So it's like, can one of you just make the best product so I can pick it? That's all I want.
Yeah. Well, everyone falls short, unfortunately, a little bit there. You
Yeah.
know, like as far as making the best product. And the issue is that they probably know that they fall short in making the best product. So they want to. If you're in that ecosystem, you pretty much decide usually to stay in that ecosystem. I, have decided to switch from a Pixel phone, to a Samsung phone. I'm probably getting a Pixel 3, by the end of this year or next
I
year.
don't know if you saw the 3D Max this week, but it's not good.
No.
Well, I mean, like I said, if you're going to look at it from a standpoint of, are they being greedy? Yeah, absolutely. All companies are greedy. They have people they have to pay. They got stockholders that want their money.
Dollar bills.
That's
But-
what it comes down to. And
Well, yeah,
no
I
one
get
ever got anywhere in life by giving away money.
But the thing is, like, there's a certain level of like understanding. Okay, businesses are here to make money. That's what they're here to do.
They're
you
here
know?
to balance how happy you are with how much money they're getting. And
Yeah.
if they could piss you off enough and still make a bunch of money, they're going to do it.
Yeah, and I think that's Apple because of the they have this entire closed ecosystem anyway. But they know that they can just continue to rip people off for it.
Well, I mean, they had a very, very small portion of the ecosystem. They only had about 10%.
I
Maybe
think-
7 years ago, they only had 10% of the computers, and that's why viruses
yeah,
were.
yeah.
They were, viruses don't touch us. This, that, and the other.
Yeah,
iPhones came around, totally different story. Just
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting. I think even on the phone market right now, I think they only control 15% of the market worldwide. Now, granted, in the U.S., they do dominate. However, they don't dominate in Asia, which has way more people than the U.S.
yeah.
It's very interesting. I actually saw where on the notion of companies and cell phones, I think it's Huawei just passed Samsung for the second largest cell phone company. Huawei. I go Huawei. I like that way more. I don't know who says that. I think it's your average consumer says that. I really like that. Either way, I'm going to stick with it. But on the notion of greed, I think it's very interesting. I think, to me, the difference is, like, Apple, now, granted, behind closed doors, I have no idea what they do, obviously. I do know that...
They drink tears of orphans.
Probably. I do know that they spend a poo ton of money on packaging, which hurts me on the inside. I do like quality packaging, but for the vacuum sealing on their packages, I've seen some numbers that they spend on that. Just Google it in your free time. It'll hurt you. It'll hurt your dignity.
But that smell?
It's not the smell. It's the vacuum
Yeah.
of opening it,
And
how
how-
tight it is.
when no, because they've changed their they get refined down their tolerances anyway as far as like what kind of error they allow, because they actually take apart the package for you essentially beforehand, and then they have a few test units, but they take apart the package to make sure everything is perfect when you
It's
open it.
ridiculous. It's a box.
But
my
it's-
man.
But
It's-
that's
it's
a
be-
part
it's-
of the package. That's a part of the experience.
Yeah, but you know
though.
what?
I
There's
keep
it's-
my boxes because I appreciate
what?
how
There's
much work they
per
put into that.
package, they spend over 7 figures.
per device
Per device, they spend over 7 figures
for the box. Like
to
every new
perfect
iPhone,
the
they have to
packaging.
redo.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's a box.
It's not bad.
It's a box.
They're a
But-
$1 trillion company.
But
I-
you're
they
gonna tell me
can-
you're gonna tell me when you open that iPhone 10 that you didn't think this is the most elegant device ever.
No, when I opened the box, I was like, oh, wow, they spent a lot of money on this package.
Thanks.
When I just opened my Sennheiser headphones, I was like, oh, cool, this is a nice package. And I'm confident they spent a fourth. It's still a cool package.
My favorite package I've ever opened was that companion cube, and it was a simple
Oh.
cardboard box.
Yeah. But I think that the difference to me is you have, like you said, we don't really know exactly what Apple spends their money on, per se. So they could be spending their money on plenty of great things.
What do you mean? They have the biggest bank account of literally any business in existence. So
Right, but I'm meaning more of, like, I don't know exactly what they're funding into. Like, what are their side projects? Like Google and Tesla, really not Tesla, just Elon Musk in general.
Yeah.
And Google and whatnot, like, and even Amazon to an extent. Like, even the scenario, like we were talking about last week with the if Netflix fails.
They're so creepy.
That was weird. A device just got activated with a specific name. That was really odd. But we were talking about last week with the possibility of Netflix dying. Like Amazon Video, I'm certain probably isn't profitable. They probably lose money on producing
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Amazon Video. But they got money to blow, so that's what they're spending it on, and they're making things for people. So at the end of the day, that to me, that's not a greedy action. That's
no, exactly.
you're empowering the consumer. And I think Tesla, or specifically Elon Musk, he's losing money. They lose, I think it's like $8,000 a minute on Tesla. You have Google, who doesn't make money on Waymo right now. They may make money on it in the future. I don't think they made any money on Google Fiber, but they did to prove a point.
Actually, I think that's nearly balanced out by this point because
It's
how many
probably
cities
close.
they've come through. I mean, like
Yeah. But I know that those weren't ventures that were intended to be profitable.
right. They were intended to better the world to some extent. You know.
And I definitely think people are spending. There are companies that do good by that.
Yeah.
I do also think that there are times when Google can be greedy, and specific sects of Google can be greedy. But as long as you're at the end of the day, like Bill Gates donates more money than anyone else in the history of the world has ever donated,
Yeah.
and Jeff Bezos refuses to because he likes money, and there's no shame about either side of that.
No, there's
The
plenty.
The difference is that like nobody really crucifies Jeff Bezos for it because he's upfront about it. He's just
Yeah.
kind of like, I love my money, so I'm gonna sit here and hold on to it
Yeah.
and spend it how I want to spend it. And you don't hear people crucifying him every day for it.
No. Well,
Now, by the same token, you don't hear people praising him like they praise Bill Gates and
I just put it into perspective, though.
Warren
Apple's total
Yeah,
worth
Buffett.
is 1/15 of our entire debt. One company is worth 1/15 of the United
And-
States debt.
And just think that one person is worth about a fifth of that.
Yeah, I mean
One
my
person.
thing is when I look at greed and I'm like, okay, so as long as they paid their fair share in taxes in the markets that they were making that money in, I'm okay with that. But the thing is, they're not. And that when I
See,
look
my-
at greed, that's kind of my point.
my thing on taxes is, and I'll kind of follow with Dylan on this, is that the tax system is imperfect to the point that the loopholes there allow them to do that.
That they paid for it to be created.
Well, no, the loopholes have always been. That's the issue. And that's why I'm a big advocate of a flat tax.
Well, by they I mean large corporations.
To me, that's why there should be a flat tax with no loopholes. And granted, the
Yep.
IRS obviously would be terrified of that statement in general, just because you don't need an IRS whenever you pay 30% taxes, and that's all you pay.
London does
You
that,
have,
don't
you have a
they?
small department of like
England?
30 people that say, yep,
I
pay,
think
yep,
a
paid.
couple European countries do.
It's amazing. It's almost like they could fire most of those people and then
Yeah, it's like
build
30,000 people
build
roughly.
some big computer system, to automatically manage all of it. It'd be
It's
weird,
weird.
right? Right.
But on the taxes frontier,
Right.
that's really my issue there. In terms of the money, though, like, what companies do you think pay the best? Google's notoriously been in the top 5 best companies in the world to work for. Amazon's right there. Apple's
in
right
pay,
there.
but isn't it been told also that they are horrible to work for? Like,
No, those are
emotionally.
they're the second best company in the world to work for, like standard of living and like
Nice.
enjoyment of work.
Yep.
The number one was SAS for a very long time out of Raleigh. Amazon's up there. Apple's all up there. Most of these super big companies are up there, but that's because they have ridiculously crazy campuses. They pay really well. Like Amazon did a really cool program last year to where if you want to work 30 hours a week, they will adjust your salary and you can work 30 hours a week. Obviously, you get paid 75% of what you did get paid before, but
Yeah.
hey, you want to work 30 hours a week and make 75% money? Cool. Improve your work-life balance. Go for it.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
I agree.
I
I
think
wish
it'd be-
my work would do that.
Instead, your work's like, oh, you only want to work 40 hours? How does 70 sound?
Yeah. Good job, buddy. You're 1.5.
So I just think it's how you do it and how you go about it. Like I said, like I'm a huge Elon Musk fan, and that's because he does things not because he should, but because he wants to, and he thinks it's better. Sometimes Google does that. Sometimes Amazon does that. I mean, we see with what is it, Blue Origins, their rocket company as well. Apple, you don't see do that. It's not that they could do it behind closed doors, and they could give tons of money to charity, and I'm just mistaken on that, but.
I mean, well, the biggest thing is
We don't see that.
I think their companies who customer interface is just awful, and a lot of their products come out sort of cheaping out a lot of people, even though they're intended to be premium products. But the problem is they just kind of end up, not necessarily Apple. The customers end up with the crappy end of the stick, then have to go through this giant rigmarole of awful customer service to get there, which is why Apple, I feel like, has such a terrible name to them anyway.
What brought about this this question, like from the get go? Like,
Apple's customer service is Zach Emerson. We do not feel that way about you.
So Apple hitting the $1 trillion cap anyway started digging up. I'm not kidding you. There were like 30 to 40 different news articles I saw around that were like
Cheap
just them
cables
roasting
and-
people of roasting Apple for like this problem and then this problem and then this problem and then this problem. I mean, it was it was all about them basically saying, "Oh, well, great! Now they're the first company to reach this peak. Well, now they've all cheaped their way to get up there." You know, that's
Well, I
not
mean,
always the truth, though.
does
I mean,
everybody not remember when people were committing mass suicide in their basically factory farms over in Japan?
that's in China.
Was it China? or
yeah,
Japan?
yeah, they had to build instead
They
of
put nets
Yeah,
to
instead
solve
of
the
just
problem.
improving the work conditions, they put nets outside to keep people from
That's
jumping
also
off
the same
buildings to kill
factory where
themselves.
Samsung products are made as well. Unfortunately, They're made in
I mean,
conjunction.
that kind of stuff, that when I look at, greed to human misery,
Yeah.
they only care for the people who are buying their products. For the ones that aren't, well, you're there to work, and that's
Yeah.
it. And then they have the company mentality. So you could take everything if they give to charity and whatnot. That's probably all well and good. But when it comes down to the real stuff like that, like making work conditions reasonable, livable,
Yeah, I think-
wages.
Well, I think the issue with
important.
that is it's not necessarily them. Unfortunately, I don't remember what the company is. I don't want to miss.
Just
guess
because
the
you
name.
outsource work, you still choose to outsource that work to that
Well, no,
company.
so-
But the question is, are you responsible for what they do in that
Well, no,
outsourced
so
work?
it's, for example, like the glass.
You should oversee that stuff, just like Walmart hiring the shirt factories in Indonesia. If those kids are burning to death in those factories because they're not following simple fire codes, then yeah, you shouldn't be giving them money.
But it's they're not
Do your
necessarily.
due diligence.
They could very well be more aware than some would like to believe as well. But like, for example, like the Gorilla Glass that goes on the phones, whatever. Like, Gorilla Glass makes that. They buy the product from them. The processors are Samsung processors. They buy them from Samsung, which is where that happens. That's the company that makes Samsung and Apple products there. But that's a processor, so it's more of. And granted, I feel certain that Apple, at least now, is definitely aware of that. But in the beginning, they may have just been like, "Hey, Samsung, we need your processor," and they're like, "Cool, it's going to cost this much. Cool, we'll send you the
Yep.
specs. We just need that." And then they're like, "Yeah, here it's shipped." And then you're like, "Cool." And
But
then
the,
they're
but
like,
the problem is you don't really focus on that kind of stuff until it like comes out with news. Better yet, your name gets labeled.
"Yeah,
on it.
like oh, Apple products are
Yeah,
leading
it-
to this or whatever."
Yeah,
But
but
I don't actually
people
come to think of
jumping
it-
out of windows is kind of a thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's not. I mean, that they understand the living conditions of these countries well before because they're going there. They're looking at your stuff. They're making because IP products in China right now are not protected, and that's half the reason why
Yeah.
Trump does half the crap he's doing right now, is to
Yep.
try to protect IP of
Right.
our companies. And so that our companies are going over there trying to figure out how to secure their IP as best as they can, regardless of anything going on. So they were there. They saw these things. Someone did. Whether
Like
they got
you
paid
would
off or not to
Well,
report it is one thing
that's
or
the thing.
another is
Yeah.
another thing.
But that's the thing. Whether or not Apple actually went out there to go see them, or if it's just Samsung that's over there because they're responsible for it, because that is Samsung's factory.
But do you hold them responsible? I mean, should you?
I hold Samsung responsible. I don't hold Apple responsible. Apple is just the customer in this transaction. Okay, okay. For that fact, then you could follow. I'm just hypothetical. Would you say that Dylan, having purchased an Apple product, is partly responsible then for those people jumping off the top of this factory anyway, where they had nets now?
Dylan is now fully responsible for that person's death. No, of course not. But at the
but-
same, I'm
but
not saying he's responsible.
Right,
But
right.
you are enabling that behavior.
Right.
You have to speak with your wallet just like with anything else. If you don't support those practices, you don't buy their product.
But that's the thing. You may not know that practice happens until it shows up on the headline the next day.
Well, again, and like I said, you do your due diligence the
Yeah.
best you can. You can't B, people have a hard enough time just following the news, let alone
Yeah.
trying to research a product and knowing where it's coming from and everything else. But do the best you can.
Right.
Show these companies that you actually care about those things, and they will change, because once that kind of stuff does come out, there's a reason why stocks go down.
Right. That comes down to the idea of paying, again, speaking with your wallet.
You're no longer a $1 trillion company.
Yep.
You're a $999 billion company.
Oh, darn.
Yeah. What a tough week.
Yeah, right.
So the next little topic that we had, I'm going to kick it over to John
Ooh.
and see what he surprises us with today.
Today. Let's go a little bit rando. Let's say...
I'm terrified now.
Oh, yeah, now I'm terrified. I was prepped for this, and now I'm not.
Nah, I won't do that to you. All right, so you know how you get super hyped for things, right? And you're like, man, Super Troopers 2 is coming out.
No.
No what?
I don't know what you're talking
You
about.
don't know what hype is?
I don't believe in it.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know what Super Troopers 2
All right.
is because
Not
he doesn't know what
that
the first one is.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. We don't judge you. I do. I'm just not out front.
No,
Shut up, Favre.
I totally thought there was. I don't remember what it
God,
is
you
now.
could, you chicken fucker. Anyway, you got super hyped for things, right? Whether it be a movie sequel, a game sequel, or a game in general, it doesn't even have to be a sequel. What was coming out that you were just like, I'm going to day one this thing, I'm going to watch this movie, I'm going to sit in line and from pre-order or whatever you're doing with it, be it object, movie, game, what was it and what let you down? How, like, your hardest fall?
2 things. Division.
Oh, man. Is that PC or...
PC.
Okay.
First off-
totally understandable.
First off, release night for the first 6 hours trying to play it because
It wasn't night. It was week. It was release week
Yeah.
on PC.
yeah, whatever.
It was Hell Week.
Yeah, it was. I mean, first night we had it, got to midnight release or whatever it was whenever it
Yeah.
dropped at 11 something,
Came
and
out
then
on Steam.
we said we were going to stay up all night to play this. But our buddy Travis and Jacob, we were up ready to play this, and then I don't think we started playing until 6 o'clock.
In the morning.
Yeah. Sun was
Yeah.
coming up, and we had just started playing because that was the first time the servers were available. Actually, we called the game Spinning Orange Circle Simulator because it's a loading icon whenever you try to
Yeah.
load into the map.
It was great.
Yeah, no, it was the best, what was it, $60 I spent. No, I honestly, I was
But you got
extremely...
to spend it with your friends.
That was the startup. Then we got into the game, and to be honest, I guess I just wasn't as pleased with the game mechanics.
Yeah.
I wasn't as pleased with the game as as it had been made out to be 6 months prior or 8 months prior to the release anyway when they first announced it, and they were like, wow, this looks really good, and better yet, you can interact with the environment in so many different ways that you didn't expect. You can open a car door and hide behind it to take cover, a lot of
Yeah.
things you didn't done before.
The best part is of that example that they're like, yeah, you can totally do things like when you're walking by a car and the door's slightly open, you'll shut the car door. And it's like, okay, and what else? And they're like, oh, no, that's pretty much it. That was one cool thing though, right?
Yeah.
And they're like,
Yeah, that's
No.
cool, but
you said things like,
The cool,
not the thing
Right.
is.
right, but
the cool thing is too that when people decided to sit in front of that door and no one could go in and they were just blockading it, and it
Yeah.
was just, oh
Yep.
man.
But it got to the point where we played it for that night. I played it the following night after I got back from work, and that was it. Never touched it again. It's sitting on Steam, and that's it. I haven't touched it since.
Sitting on a disc somewhere, probably.
Nah.
Hard disk. HDD. Oh, you don't have it installed.
That's
I
it's
reinstalled
actually
it.
one of my favorite games after they got done fixing everything. One of the funnest, I should say, one of the
It's like 2
funnest
years
games I
later.
had with my friends. And I'm sorry that PC had such a bad time with it. We didn't have a great time either up front, but it didn't nearly as punish us as much as it did you
It
guys.
was real bad.
It was real bad.
That launch is probably the second worst game that I played on PC. The worst is Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs was probably the worst game
Really?
ever on PC. Yes, is
Well,
brutal.
I didn't get into it till late, and
Yeah, when it first came out, it was so unoptimized, and you just could not same type of launch thing if it took a day to be able to play the game, and then everything that would happen, the unit colliders were broken, so much stuff was
Really?
broken, and it's just you knew this was coming
Yeah.
out. Did you not test this? How
Yeah.
did this make it to market?
see, I got into the game. I got into that probably 2-3 months maybe after it came out. By then, I figured they probably had most things patched or whatever.
Yeah.
That game is actually the reason why I bought a 970, because I had at the time I had a Radeon set up with 25660s.
You had to pile of poop.
It did. It was really bad. So the game itself actually played fine at 50-ish frames a second, running about mid-level settings, and then the rain hit, and I played it. As soon as it started to rain, I played at 6 frames a second. Like I couldn't like it to the point that mouse movements would like overshoot because it would like record the mouse movement, but like I had stopped moving the mouse, but it would still go. And I was like, "What is this?" Yeah, no. But like they obviously didn't optimize it for low frame rate either. Like because otherwise I should still be able to stop moving, and continue to be able to do what I'm doing in the game to some extent.
Yeah.
But no, actually I had to stop playing the game, purchase a 970, put the 970 in, and then I could continue to play the game.
Jeez.
That is the game. That's the reason I have a
I
970.
don't PC game.
Yeah, just over time it can get a little brutal time. For me though, I have a gaming one and I have a TV/movie one. The gaming one I'll go with first is this year's Sea of Thieves. Just mainly because we knew about it,
yeah.
we'd seen it. I really like the concept a whole lot. I was a really big fan of No Man's Sky, and I actually didn't hate the game when it came out. I mean, it was a little bit shallow, but I liked the concept, whatever. This replayability was super high. When I started seeing Sea of Thieves, like, I made the mistake of falling into the trap of watching, like, the developers play and stuff like that, and they kept changing things very minutely. Like, initially only one guy could have a shovel, one guy could have a lantern, and one guy could have a gun, and I was like, ooh, that sounds cool. Like, hey, when me and my friends go treasure hunting, like, it's going to be some real stuff.
Very role based,
Yeah, it's going to be like role-based. This is going to be crazy. And then I just remember when that game came out, we played the beta, and in the beta I was like, I mean, this was a cool taste. This felt like it's a small part of a really cool game. And when the game comes out, I was like, oh my god, the beta was the game. You're kidding me. That's it? There's not more. Okay. All right. We're going to refund this.
Yeah.
Most interesting thing is the Megalodon.
Yeah.
Is that what they call it?
No, there's...
The big ass shark.
Didn't they just add a bunch of stuff?
No, I think they added that. The big thing was the Kraken.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the Kraken. The Kraken, the hurricane thing or whatever. But yeah, I mean, that was super disappointing to me because it was more of what I wanted it to be. Was maybe what everyone thought it was going to be, but then it definitely was not what I wanted it to be. And that's how I know a lot of people felt about No Man's Sky, but I think that's because people mistakenly thought No Man's Sky was going to be something it wasn't.
Well, no, he also said what it was going to be, and it wasn't.
And no, it is right now.
No, you're right. He rectified. I give him full credit. And, dude, homage. Like, that is going to be a great game for years to come because of what he did.
Yeah.
So.
But the question is it too late, though?
No, I think it's
I don't think so.
Also,
believe it or not, they handled it fairly well.
I guess my thing, too, on this note of Sea of Thieves is it too late for that? Because we see a lot of other game developers, anyway, coming out with other games, like Atlas.
Yep. I don't know if you saw this, but Atlas was a trailer for Ark that seemingly is going to be competitor to Sea of Thieves. And if it's anything like Ark, I think, in my opinion, for at least me, it's going to murder it because it's the playstyle that I already like.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty much when I was playing Ark, I was like, oh, yeah, Sea of Thieves is probably going to be like this, but on a boat. And it wasn't. And now the company who makes Ark is making the boat version.
Yep.
Which sounds
Thank
awesome.
you, guys. It sounds great, actually. We know that you pulled the video, but still.
Yeah, we know. So, I mean, the issue there is, like, and it's the same thing of No Man's Sky that I can knock people for. It, happens to all of us. I guess I kind of thought about it was something that it wasn't, which they didn't really necessarily market it that way. It was just more of, I guess, what I anticipated, really.
Yeah.
And then the movie one is, it's definitely very interesting. But I'm going to have to go with, not for the wrong reasons, but the 1, 2, and 3 Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because... And when I was a kid, I grew up into Star Wars, and I knew about 4, 5, 6. I read a ton about it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is like the coolest thing ever." And then when 1 came out, like I was still a kid, so I was like still dumb enough to be like, "That's a cool movie."
Yeah.
And my uncle was like, "That wasn't really a good movie, man." And I was like, "Yeah, but wow, you're right. That's kind of not a great movie."
I didn't have the realization it was really awful until I rewatched them when I was in high school, and I was like,
"Oh my god!"
I thought this was great. Like this, like it was newer, so like the camera quality was much better.
Yeah.
Like it looked a lot better. Like CG was better. Like no,
Yeah, to me it was like, and it's what I've always
story just wasn't there.
Yeah, it's what I've always said about those movies is that those movies are not bad movies by any far stretch of the imagination, but they are bad Star Wars movies. So like if you just want to go into it for an entertainment value, like it's a good movie, like it's fine, it's entertaining, it's cool, but like in the Star Wars universe, it is not good. It is bad.
Outside of the Solo movie, do you think that they've rectified that issue with the...
I mean, I like the Solo movie. I like the Solo movie, and I've liked 7, 8, and I like Rogue One and Solo. I didn't really have an issue with those. My issue with just 1, 2, and 3 is the story was It was a story that we all knew, and we knew what was going to happen. We didn't know how it was going to happen, but they just conveyed that so poorly, in my opinion. And it was one of those things. It was like, it's like learning about your like hero or like the guy you look up to or whatever. And it's like the more you learn about him and you realize they're like not a good person at all, and you're like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I felt watching the movies. It's like, I just want to know how this happened. And then you're like, God, but that story sucks, man. Come on.
Yeah.
It's funny. I didn't hate 1, but I really did not like 2 and 3.
See, me, 1, I mean, I didn't, like I said, I thought they were all okay movies. To me, just 2 and 3 with Anakin were bad. 3, I think, was the best movie. None of them were good Star Wars movies, though. It's just more of like just what they did to Anakin, and you're like, God, you're supposed to be like, as they call him, the chosen one. Like, it's supposed to be like, I don't know. In my head, it was much different than how it played out on the screen.
I thought he was just a whiny bitch.
And that's how it came out. That's for certain. That's not what I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, for a badass Jedi, you were just a little crybaby.
Yeah.
The fact that he got laid surprised me.
How much of that was mind control? There's a pretty cool theory on that.
Ooh. Man, that just
Wow.
got dark.
That's
That's
wow.
I want to talk about that later.
Sorry about that.
Not at all. That's awesome. I mean,
What is yours, buddy?
yeah, right. I don't think it has to deal with that. But movie wise, Anchorman 2.
Eggman?
Anchorman.
You know what? I'll agree with that. Yeah. There was
Anchorman-
so much hype for that.
Dude, I mean, after Anchorman 1, which
Oh, yeah.
we'll watch it. I mean, I think you would actually enjoy it because it is
The first one?
up. Yes.
It
We're
just
not
has
going to
a-
bother watching the second. Well, actually, you'll have to watch the first 20 minutes. I think you might walk away.
The only thing that I know about Anchorman is the GIF. What is it? Will Smith? Not Will Smith. Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell.
No, I just had a picture of Will Smith with like the whole hair thing going on the mustache. That's
But
great.
yeah, with Will
Anyway.
Ferrell in his like little suit with his leg cocked up and he's got the beard and he's like, well, that escalated quickly. That's the only thing I know from that movie.
The satire in that movie was actually pretty funny, especially for the time frame that they were talking about, which actually and being in like the man's world during that time, like it was funny. The jokes were funny. Steve Carell killed it.
I love Lamp.
Is that before or after Ricky Bobby?
Before.
That's before
The
Ricky
first one was
Is
before.
it before?
Because to me, that whole
It
was like
close.
that's like the Wolf. Like, that's just what I think of when I think of Will Ferrell. Is like the Anchorman dude and then Ricky Bobby.
Rick and Bobby, Talladega
Yeah.
It's
Nights.
the same guy.
No, well,
Also,
I mean,
what is the movie where he is the baller that sleeps with chicks at funerals?
Wedding.
Wedding
Crashers.
Yeah, Wedding Crashers. Yeah.
That's pretty much the only thing I think of Will Ferrell.
Elf.
Mom,
You
meatloaf.
never saw Elf? God, that movie's overplayed. And
It is.
Drives me nuts.
Every Christmas, it's just
But
Elf everything.
Anchorman 2 was supposed to be like the hilarious comedy of the year. It was supposed to knock us off our socks.
Yeah,
We expected
it was.
so much from that movie.
Yeah, and it just
And
wasn't.
I've only walked out of 2 movies, and both of them were Will Ferrell movies. One was Semi-Pro, and one was Anchorman 2.
I watched half of actually, I'll put it this way: I rented Semi-Pro on pay-per-view
I feel
and
so sorry for
never finished it.
you. I don't.
You rented that on pay per view?
Yeah, back when we still had pay-per-view because that was in high school.
That's weird.
Man, I feel sorry that you had to pay for that. I got my money back out of the theater for that one. That was only 2
Really?
movies I walked out of. My favorite movie, Other Guys, Will Ferrell.
What is that?
What?
What is that?
What is what?
He
Other
doesn't
Guys?
watch movies.
No, I understand that.
He doesn't know what the other guys is. No, it's
That's where
Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg
me
are
and Brent
cops,
do our
like
thing at the end. That's
awful
what
cops.
that's
Yeah,
from.
yeah. Aim for the bushes. That's
Oh, yeah.
from
Oh,
yeah.
That makes so much more sense now.
Yeah, it's one of
I
our
thought that
favorite
was
movies.
just some weird stuff you did.
No.
The first time you did it,
I
I was
love
like,
the
"That's
fact that he
weird."
doesn't watch movies because we'll talk about it and say things from it. And he's just looking at us like, that was random.
That's
I'm
really
like, nope,
weird. Yeah,
Not random at all.
makes sense now.
No,
The,
for the rest of us, no, it makes sense. It's just you that's oblivious.
Which is fine.
Why
It
would
actually
you-
adds
I feel
to
like
the
every-
comedy.
No.
For me.
Every time one of us makes a movie reference that you don't understand, where you're just kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna go with that. You need to put a blue screen over your face.
Why didn't you just go with Ricky Bobby Shake and Bake? That'd be way cooler.
Yeah.
to
The
be
thing is,
honest-
we love the other guys so much more. And
Yeah, when you act it out, it takes too long. Versus just aim for the bushes.
not only
that's
that,
so
but
much easier.
Talladega Nights, I'm not going to lie. I enjoyed that movie, but when I walked out of the movie theater, I had a freaking hangover that had no alcohol. to cause.
You
Like
were
I walked out and had
all jacked up on
a
Mountain Dew.
Huh?
Were you all jacked up on Mountain Dew?
like a spider monkey.
I did watch that movie. And I did watch The Hangover, which is another one where I remember everyone was super hyped about it, and I went in and I was like, all right, that's weird.
It was okay.
I thought the first one was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't hate
I
it,
think
but I
the
was
entire
like,
trilogy actually did an okay job. I
I
come
just-
in you and you come on floor. I was like,
I just think that
What?
I just think that people's humor and my humor are slightly different. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's kind of funny, guys.
There are so many things I could think of that they could put in a movie that you would actually think funny, but I can't say them. On
I
this
figured
podcast.
you and Zach Galifianakis would be twins the way that you think.
It's possible.
Oh no! I'd like to see the two of them on Between Two Ferns. That'd be great.
Between Two Ferns. Is that something?
That was a
It's his like YouTube show or whatever, where he has people come on that are like, and they have two ferns set up and then like two chairs or whatever where they talk with people. Like
Are the firms between them? The ferns?
They're
They are
between
the
two ferns.
I was hoping it was like a guy, two ferns, another guy.
What?
I just to show you that's the mind of a programmer.
Oh gosh. No, but he's had one like Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, that kind of thing. Like
That sounds awesome.
some other big names, like Bradley Cooper came on for one.
It doesn't
yeah.
sound like he has my type of humor. Maybe Obama has my type of humor.
I'll have to bring some up later. You'll enjoy him.
Yeah, I think you and him would get along well. The game I would have to go for though would probably be Mirror's Edge Catalyst. Mirror's Edge was one of my favorite games that got me back into gaming, and Catalyst let me down so hard. And not only me, but so many people. It was probably one of the hardest letdowns of 2016.
I haven't played either of them.
They did it to us. They had so much time. I don't.
The game that game.
I would have waited. They would have said we're not ready. I'd be like, okay.
The reason I had no faith for that game is because a year or 2 years before that, this game called Brink came out,
Yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, this Brink game is gonna be really cool. It
I was
like
really hyped for
changes
that.
movement."
Really?
and
Because
everything."
it was the first one that came out that used parkour. Like
Yeah, it was legit. I mean, maybe this is giving it too much credit, but it could legit be considered the start of the hero shooter because it like felt like that Overwatch hero shooter-esque game.
yeah.
And they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna make this the greatest movement parkour crazy game ever." And it came out, I was like, "Oh my god, this is a turd."
Wait,
Oh,
yeah, well, because
heavens.
the hype on it was the parkour, like that
Yeah.
was the movement was like the big hype, and then
And
it was
like,
awful.
"Let me run at this table. Stop. Run by."
Well, I mean, that's kind of almost how I felt about Dying Light, but then it almost added to the suspense with Dying Light, so it actually was good.
See, Dying Light to me is another one of those games where it's like, it's exactly how I feel about technology. The game is so close to being great, but it's not. Like the first couple nights.
Wow, that's impressive, especially with you. I mean, you see what's coming up from Dying Light 2. I mean, it's gonna be.
My issue though with
different
the
from
first
what it
Dying,
was,
I hope
but-
so because the first game to me super amazing. The first like 2 or 3 nights of that game, awesome. Like you're afraid to go out at night.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
like, everything here is gonna kill me. This is really bad. These zombies will take me over. By like the 4th or 5th night, you're in the middle of the night. Like, come on, do it. I'm gonna kill all you. Watch this. Come on, you big scary motherfucker. I'm gonna kill you.
I don't
No,
think
no,
it was
and then
5
it jumps
days.
at-
I think it
it's
takes
a
a little
couple,
bit
but-
longer than that.
But once you get
no,
to a
and then
certain
it jumps
level,
at
you're
the
just
screen and
broken.
he still screams anyway.
Yeah, 100%. We
Play
said-
that game in VR and tell me how you feel.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Speaking of VR, I actually bought last week maybe Hellblade on VR
How is
with
it?
headphones. I haven't played it yet. I did set up my
Ooh,
VR 2 days ago, something like that.
I want to see that.
But I'm curious with the headphones on it. I also I don't know how I'm gonna be able to set up. use
Absolutely,
my
with the
actual headphones.
voices and everything. That's gonna be
Yeah.
sick, nasty.
That's gonna be terrifying. Is what it is. You can see me on the floor in the fetal position.
Yeah. Well, the same thing would happen to me if I had to play Resident Evil in that. Oh my
There's an
God.
amazing video that I hope to show you guys after this, and if you're watching this right now, you're gonna see it. But it's basically a video of I'm gonna forget that. We're gonna type that in.
John, you just looked. Whenever you're talking about Resident Evil, you like stared off hard in the distance. I was like, this man's about to have a PTSD attack.
Dude, man, that fear, I could not play
Like,
fear.
I can't
Alright,
help but
so-
think of the video of that dog or whatever that's like staring off in the distance or whatever, wide-eyed.
Real quick, one, I just spelled it wrong. But and two, the clip you just saw and the clip that I'm going to show them afterwards, hopefully I don't forget about them, but I definitely won't forget about you, is this chick at a VR bar just playing VR, having the time of her life, right? You got these things that go up and you hold
Oh, yeah.
So I'm confident you people are all like, wow, this is the worst description ever. But it goes up and she's just there, you know, pew, 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 pew pew, having a good time, right? And then something scares her, and then she tries to run like that. Wham! Right into
great.
the wall. Oh my god, it is terrible.
It's like with that dog that wakes up and just takes off into the wall.
Yes,
Yeah, so
that's gonna be me playing Hellblade.
I mean, just to give you an idea, like I don't mind like the pop-up scares kind of a little bit.
Keep talking. Go on.
Okay. I don't know, I was just curious. The
Nobody else was eating.
one night, me and Brian, my buddy, we were in a
feed the
fraternity
beast.
in college, and after a night of people having to go to the hospital, getting bailed out of jail, and us trying to play a video game.
Sounds like a good story.
It is a really good story, and I'll tell it later. I don't want to tell too much because some people might not enjoy that.
Legalities.
We were playing Fear, and I was trying to play co-op with Brian, and every time I shot at this
Let's say
ghost,
audio
all
off.
my bullets were gone within the first 5 minutes of the game. Like,
Yeah.
they were just gone. So,
You said Fear, or did you
Fear.
Fear? Okay.
Like, PS3 Fear.
Yeah.
I hated that game. Couldn't play it. Of course, we were playing in the dark because it was like 3 in the morning by the time we got to play it. And so I had to watch. The only way I could play that game was watching him play it.
Is Fear the one where you're in the school?
The Fear is, well, you're in a school and then a factory and some other stuff. You're in multiple places.
Yeah, what's it?
In a town.
It's Outlast or Outcast.
Oh, Outlast? That one will mess you up.
That
I
one
dare
didn't
you to
matter.
play that VR.
What's I don't want to play in VR.
I'd rather not.
I played
No.
it not in VR, and like I was playing with Kevin when we were in college, and we're just going through one of the levels, and it's like through like one of the little hospital things, and it's like I was giving him so much crap because he's like, dude, this game's real scary, man. I was like, man, it's a stupid video game. It's not that bad. And he's like, dude, you just play it. You'll get jump scared in the first 30 minutes.
Yep.
I was like, all right. So we like bet some random thing on it, right? So I play this video. Or I start the timer we're going through, and you're going through this little like doodad, and I remember so clearly. It's very clear in my head. You go under this little thing. It's like this table basically, and you have to go under it. And as soon as you get to the other side, it's like wham, thing in your face. And I was like sitting. I had this like little rolly chair thing in my little rocker thing I had. I was sitting in this rocker thing, and I jump back and I roll out the rocker. Kevin is about to wet himself laughing. He was like, 7 minutes. Made it 7 minutes. Well, I was wrong.
Dude, that game, I watched people playing it, and they figured out little glitches to get up on top and to be able to, like, you can get through the whole game in, like, 7 minutes.
No, I
It's
didn't.
pretty
What the
nuts.
crap? I got
Yeah,
to the floor.
It's actually really interesting to watch how people can break games. You have to have, obviously, an intimate knowledge of, like, collision detection and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Intimate.
Super intimate.
Intimate with collision.
I mean, just to get back on track to why I hated Mirror's Edge Catalyst, was that they thought they knew what we liked, and then they royally effed it up.
Mhm.
Like, it was just,
Turd.
yeah, it was a giant turd. You could
Big
tell
old
they
turd.
didn't understand why we loved what we loved, and it was a shame. No love whatsoever in that game.
No love.
No love. And then they just really decided to reboot the world for no reason. I was like, yeah, you had everything you needed.
You had it. You let it go.
Boop.
Let it go. I like that. I like your resonance there. No. The
It's Brett's favorite song.
that's what's depressing and impressive in the same light. The next bit of news. No, it's not news. We're wrong here. The next topic that we wanted to mark that.
Mark that.
You get it?
All right.
It's funny.
So what's up? What's next on the list of things to do?
I didn't want to be too far, Mike, when I said that. But the next topic that we had is my topic. My topic is what video game and or movie, fictional or real for that matter, world, time frame, place would you want to live in? Now this is a one-way ticket. There's no tickets back here. So what is your one-way ticket? I'm gonna give myself one caveat here of that I cannot choose Star Wars because I feel like I've chose that multiple times. So I'm not gonna pick that.
Okay. Well, I mean, I was gonna say, like, it's so hard because there's a messed up part of me that wants to experience certain worlds, but I wouldn't want to stay in it. And it's like,
It's a one-way ticket.
yeah, I know it's a one-way ticket, man. I mean, granted, if you're smart enough, you'd probably live in through most of them. I would say probably Far Cry.
That's which one?
Far Cry 5.
Okay. I say if you go on Primal, that's gonna be a hard life.
Yeah, no, strict hard life. But Far Cry 5,
Don't
you're in the
even
boonies. You've got beautiful scenery.
Yeah.
You can kill you a bunch of crazy white people. and you've got plenty of different vehicles to play with, guns. You've got a freaking rocket launcher that shoots a shovel, and you can just watch people fly off a mountain.
He does not mean that in a hateful way. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter.
No,
Spotify, Amazon.
they are crazy white people. That was the whole point. Like,
There's
they were
3 of
crazy.
them right here in this room.
Yeah. We'd
all
probably
right.
be on the list to die in that game.
Yeah, when you said Far Cry for a second, I don't know why I instantly thought of 3, and I was like, oh yeah, that is a beautiful island. Oh my god, that guy will kill you.
Well, I was actually debating between 4 and 5 because 4
wouldn't go with
also
3?
has beautiful mountains.
3 is the most beautiful to me.
No.
I mean, I would never do it because of Captain Insano. But
Well, the thing is like I can handle like war-torn countries. Like you can probably figure out a way to survive that. Being on an island,
yeah,
ain't no getting away from that, dude.
you get a pretty island though.
Yeah, you do.
You just got a crazy dude trying to murder you
Yeah, the whole time.
whole time. But you, movie. It could be a movie or it could be a place or whatever.
I
Movie
can't help
or
but think of
place.
Ready Player One.
Yeah.
I got like okay. First off, real world, awful. Like I mean,
ain't gotta be in the real world.
I'm pretty much just gonna be, like
What's worse is that could be us in
You
10
do
years.
have to eat.
it could, whatever, worth. Like I mean, but to me, I think that would be really cool just to kind of be in a virtual world pretty much almost all the time. Just to, I mean, obviously the real world is awful, but it's a lot more awful there, which makes VR all that much more appealing. Which means that the development for VR is that much better there. So the idea of living in that kind of world actually would be really cool because you can do anything.
Yep. Mine, not enjoyable. I just would really. I don't know why I would really like it. It'd be peaceful to me.
Uh-oh.
Last of Us. Why? I don't know. I've always been a big advocate, and you've probably heard me complain about this many, many times. I'm not the biggest fan of technology. Obviously, I live and breathe in technology, which is seemingly contradictory.
This is a tech podcast and
Yeah,
game
it is.
podcast.
And
but,
I work for
here
a
we are.
major tech portion of a very major company, heavily in tech. But to me, tech's always been more of like it's just something necessary for business.
And what's one of your degrees in? Actually, I'll go and tack that on too.
Yeah,
I think there's a psychologist that talks about us liking to be like self-destructive and hating ourselves and doing things that we hate just because we need to feel alive.
yeah, pretty much. But for me, like technology is just much more not necessarily a means to an end. I mean, I do like technology, but I would also like to not have technology, which is why I think being in the post-apocalyptic scenario, I think The Last of Us is a cool world. I think The Last of Us is a very survivable world. I don't necessarily see myself. Granted, there are totally things that could kill you in The Last of Us. However, I think that is something I could survive better than most post-apocalyptic worlds.
Then you should have just gone with like Ark or Rust.
Just fucking dinosaurs.
And
You think I can't outrun a chubby kid, much less a T-Rex. Jesus. In Last of Us, I can hear something clicking, and I don't go that way.
Yeah.
It's easy. Something's clicking over there. I'm not going. Okay.
no, until you go. Something's clicking that way.
I mean,
Something's clicking that way.
see, that's the thing. That was the dilemma with the question is like, there's one that I wanted to do that I know I could survive in, and there's one that I want to do that I know I'll probably die in.
Oh, yeah. What's the die?
Horizon Zero Dawn.
See, I think you would be fine.
No, I probably will. I do think that there's going to be that one thing I screw up, though, and I'm going after the Tyrannosaurus Rex and trying to tie him down, and then all of a sudden I get blasted in the back by some random, I don't know, I can't really remember what that one with the horns was called. Yeah, they just always would just, like, ground burst me into the wall. And I have, if you're talking real world, you get one blast into a wall and you're done.
That's it.
It's game over.
That's GG.
But, no, that
you could
world
just
would be
live in a
so
village, though.
cool.
You
Yeah.
can just live in a village. You'd be Silence. Silence don't know how to deal with stuff. Scurry around.
I don't know. I'd have to be a little. Well, he does adventure. He does do
Yeah,
things too.
He scurries around. I never think it's interesting because, like you said, like that was kind of my thing of like, there's a couple worlds that I would definitely, I think would be amazing to be in, but like you said, like The Last of Us is a world where I feel very confident in my ability to survive, and it's almost I Am Legend-esque of like you can live with people, you can live by yourself, but it's like, oh, it's just simple, you know.
Yeah, the simple life does sound very appealing sometimes.
Very billion times.
Actually, so here's one. Actually, I just kind of came up with. John, you might have seen this. You said you might have seen this movie. I know you haven't.
That's a good call.
But I'd love to live in the world of San Francisco from Big Hero 6.
Oh no, actually I've seen the movie. It's a comic book movie.
You have?
Yeah.
I didn't know you've seen that.
If comic book movie.
No.
didn't have seen
I would have been confident you'd have read the comic book, but definitely not the movie.
Stan Lee's in it. You gotta see if Stan Lee's in it, I gotta see it.
All right, but no, but I like the idea of having sort of the resources and the ability to kind of do whatever you want there, but also living in some sort of like Japan, San Francisco knockoff. Honestly,
Yeah.
I feel like that'd be kind of entertaining to me.
Yeah.
But no, the idea of sort of living in this sort of futuristic, higher tech world anyway would actually be really cool.
Also, being an animated cartoon would be pretty dope.
You never get like really hurt. Like that's it. Like
No, that,
perfect.
So that was the one thing too. I was debating. I was like, are we actually going to be like all of a sudden it's a real world, or is it like we're in the game and we're experiencing?
Screw
the
it.
game
I'm a
up
cartoon.
You're gonna be Ash Ketchum. I know Brent would.
front? Ash Ketchum. He'd be catching some asses.
I don't know how that.
Anyway.
I don't either. He would be trying to. I don't know what game would Brent would have probably chose Last of Us.
No, he'd have probably chose Pokemon. He'd have,
Pokemon,
what is
yeah.
what is the name of the Kanto region?
Yeah, the
He'd
first
probably
one.
he'd have put us one of the Kanto region.
I wouldn't mind that.
I definitely think it'd be cool. It'd definitely be serene. It'd be a different life for sure.
Oh my god, can you imagine like you literally like you're a Pokemon trainer or you're actually going out and making money by battling?
Yeah, but you want.
I mean, it's definitely really messed up because in this world it's like dog fighting.
Until you're, walking through, the tall grass, and suddenly a Nidorino comes over and starts attacking you.
Yeah,
I was about to
it
say
gets real quick.
survivability. Once again, of what are you doing when you walking through the forest and a Charizard appears and it burns you to a crisp? Like, that's it.
Oh, there's Zapdos.
Yeah, I'm done. I had a good one, guys.
I had a
just
really bad one. I'm gonna show
Thinking
you.
about what they would look like
I
in
had a really bad
reality,
one.
like surreal. Like you've seen those drawings of like Bulbasaur, or Squirtle, and like their organs and stuff, like the cut of them, like as
No.
real animals.
No.
It is really cool. But
That
to
sounds
think of them,
disturbing.
that's what they would probably end up looking like if you saw them in real life. It is sick nasty.
So you're talking of Pokemon?
I gotta pull that up for you because that is really cool to look at.
You're thinking of Pokemon in the sense of it is real, or you're thinking Pokemon in the sense of the anime?
Like real,
Like
like
you-
looking like dinosaur style real.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, it really is.
I don't know if I can
Wow.
expunge that much fecal matter.
Yeah,
Because I'm
Man.
going to let you know now, if I see like a 10-foot tall Blastoise with cannons on its back, I'm probably going to...
I don't know why I just had an image of a Pikachu sitting right here charging
No,
this entire
Pi-
podcast.
Pikachu, I'm cool with, because he's like, a foot tall. It is the, dragon that breathes fire.
the Dragon Knight.
Or it is the, you're worried about sharks? How about a freaking lizard snake devil?
Or a Lapras.
Screw that.
That'd be
Just
cool.
a Charmander walking through here, burning literally everything.
Yeah.
Just
with
walking
his tail.
around with his tail.
Yeah. It's a very real fear. I mean, I definitely think it's so cool. And another one there's no real. This would be one obviously for not survival, but I think it would be super cool. But the movie Troy, I've always been a big fan of Roman times and
Yeah.
Okay.
Grecian times. So that concept, I really like those olden days. I guess the old sword fight. You just basically you fight, you die, you live, you
The most skilled survives.
exactly.
It's
I mean,
like
maybe
it's,
I wouldn't.
it's about
but
as
whatever.
brutal as it gets, but I mean, it's something to focus on at least.
Shortest
For sure.
shortest one-way ticket ever.
Yeah,
no,
could be.
not joking there, man. Just
Well,
from,
no.
like,
The issue is I
10
need to go there
minutes
from
alone.
birth because right now, if my chubby goes back there, whoo, woo,
You'd be getting fit real quick.
I don't know if I'm gonna be fit. I'm gonna be fit for the dessert tables. I'm gonna be. That's the only thing I'm gonna be fit for. Anything
Well, I
else
mean,
you
they
guys
did
wanna
swing
add?
both ways back then.
No, I don't want to be for that. No. We only swing one way.
What's up, chubby?
Come here,
Take me back.
boy.
Take me back. Take me back.
That's when one of us reminds you. You said it was a one-way ticket.
Take me back.
The equivalent of the pool boy. Hey, wine boy.
I don't want the wine. I just want the grapes.
Who's going to be doing the whining though?
Me. It's totally me.
Good
Have
times.
you ever slept with a pig before? No, that's disgusting. I'm gonna squeal like one, so you don't want this one.
There you go. I come in you and you come on floor. Jesus. That's so gross.
Well, guys, so those were some interesting topics. Mark is now broken. And he hasn't finished his bowl of watermelon yet, unfortunately. However, if we have any corrections or anything we were completely wrong on, or any comments, suggestions,
I have a correction for myself, actually.
Down there in the comment section. Oh, sorry.
So I have a correction for myself. Last week I was talking about Spring Mobile owning GameStop. It's actually the other way around. GameStop owns Spring Mobile. They were a part of that company. I misread what I was reading. My apologies to everyone here, including GameStop, which, by the way, RIP here soon.
Well, there you have it. And if you have any news or anything that you would like us to talk about or anything else, feel free to let us know down in the comments below. But as always, without the wonderful Brent Metcalf, we're not aiming for any bushes, but we could shake and bake.
I'll shake and bake.
You want it? Yeah.
Shake and bake.
Oh, I thought you were going for the whole thing.
Shake and bake. What? Magic Man?